Hi, I'm Mark Greenstein of Ivy Bound. A very frequently asked question by students and parents is, should the student take ACT, SAT, or both? And as of 2022, our answer, and it's been this way for about 4 years now, taking both makes sense. All things being equal, all other things being equal, if you have to pick one, most kids are better off with ACT. Let me give you a test for discerning this. It's just 2 questions. Ask your kid, do you hate science? A lot of you know this already. If she comes home complaining about science every week, probably hating science. Fearful of science. Once again, you probably know this answer already. If the answer is no to both, I don't hate it, I don't fear it, the ACT probably makes sense. Notice, I did not ask, is your kid good at science? Because a tutor, our tutors anyway, get kids good at ACT science. ACT science is really science reasoning, and it is devoid of intricate knowledge that comes from a biology class, a physics class, a chemistry class in high school. The ACT test makers deliberately don't pull material from those bodies of knowledge. They want kids to be on a more even playing field so that science reasoning on ACT is more reasoning using scientific content. It's structured so that students without any background in the scientific subject can look at an experiment that nobody's seen. It's from some deep, not even textbook, some publication that kids wouldn't have been exposed to. And then the ACT makers put questions about causes, effects. What would happen if the temperature were increased by 6 miles an hour? What would happen if the wind speed decreased by 10 miles an hour? And people who don't have science backgrounds but are good reasoners can infer right answers. So if you're not deterred, not fearful of science, not hateful of science, then the ACT has some advantages that the SAT doesn't. The ACT is much more straightforward on its reading comprehension. SAT's reading comp is more abstruse. It relies on some inferences that are sometimes hard to discern. The passages themselves on the SAT include 1 or 2 of the 5 that are going to be very old, 90 years or older, where understanding the English is not that easy to modern kids and adults. ACT's reading passages are much more straightforward. ACT's math is a little more straightforward. The level of math does get a little higher on the ACT, but that's not necessarily harder. The ACT math has trigonometry. SAT has little to none. But if you've studied trigonometry, it won't be hard. Those 5 questions are relatively easy. ACT has an occasional logarithm, has an occasional matrix question. SAT doesn't. But once again, if you've studied it either in school or with a tutor, you're well armed to nailing those ACT questions. Final section, the SAT and the ACT both have grammar and they're almost the same. So there's neutral in terms of how do my grammar skills play on ACT versus SAT. So once again, I'm back to science. If it is not hateful and not filled with fear, I think kids should be doing it. Now, should they do the SAT as well? Maybe. The SAT and the ACT, because they are fairly close to one another, means it's not that much extra studying to do multiple tests. So if you do the ACT twice and add the SAT twice, you have 4 tests. Colleges just give you the benefit of the one best, but you have a better chance when you're submitting 4 scores instead of 1. Please dispel the rumor. It's a horrible rumor that colleges all hold multiple tests against you. The average student applying to competitive colleges takes more than 4 tests at this point. That's my estimation. 4.2 probably. The colleges do not care. And if you think your college come senior year might care, you can bury the scores that are not helping you. So just show the one SAT or the combined 2 SATs that are best, the ACT or combination of ACTs that are best, and you don't have to show them the rest. So give yourself the best shot by opening yourself to multiple tests. If your kid is on the lazy side and doesn't want to work at both tests, then I lean towards ACT for most students. The one type of student who seems more apt for SAT success would be good with vocabulary, because SAT does ask for more intricate vocabulary, adept with more intricate math, and scared of or hateful of science. I'm Mark Greenstein. Hope this has been helpful.